So, first one, the proper requirements gathering involves both face-to-face conversation and written documents. So, you can't just have one. You need to know, so I'm a client, Carlo is my client. It's his team. I'm trying to gather analytics. I'm trying to gather the requirements for a dashboard. I can't just email Carlo a document and say, hey, here you go, fill this out and send this back to me. There's just gonna be, this is the first step. There's 5 more steps. I guarantee you, if I just did that, step 6 would still be screwed up, which then isn't finalized in a failed whole process. So it is imperative that you talk to the person and have at least one meeting, preferably 2. So it'll help clarify expectations of your team. So they want to report on data that isn't available. They don't know that. It's not, it wouldn't be Carlo's job to know that we don't have this data available, because they say, oh, well, this will help us do better things. If they don't know we don't have this available, and they just say we want to do this, their expectations aren't in line with reality. So it's important to have that. If you have forms, requirements forms, your internal team might need to help them, just because depending on what stage of the process your company is, or your teams that you're dealing with are in with filling out forms for dashboards, or generally just for analytics or requests in general. They might be in the baby stages, so they might need a little hand holding. Just because they're not familiar with filling out forms or not used to it, so they're kind of reluctant to say, oh, I don't want to fill out this form, I can just send you an email. It's important to have the form filled out so you can reference it. An email could get lost, an email could get deleted, right? But a form, if you save it in a central repository, probably less likely at least to get it deleted. So, and once you get all that, if you clarify that with stakeholders, it'll help prevent back and forth through the whole process. So, it's going to prevent okay, Carlo tells me, he sends me an email. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what this is. I don't talk to him. 3 weeks later, he's like, oh, how's my dashboard? I'm like, here it is. He's like, this is not what I wanted at all. I wasted 3 weeks of work because I just didn't go clarify with him. So something so simple as just saying, hey, Carlo, is this exactly what you wanted? Yeah, sure. Save myself potentially hours of wasted work. And then, it's not only are you gonna get frustrated with that, but obviously your company is not gonna look too out of that either, because you just spent 3 weeks working on something that you have to probably spend another 2 weeks reworking. That's 5 weeks on a 3-week project. That's money lost in their terms. So, just here's some examples that we use at restaurant.com. These are specific analytics request forms, but they can be. The idea is to have forms available for your team. If you're doing reporting, whether it's analytics or whatever, just kind of key fields is there's a metrics to be included right here. So a list of standard metrics that they might be able to check off. Prioritization. So how critical is this dashboard? Is this going to be number one, the company can't survive without it? Or is this I would really like to have it, but not, the company's going to move on regardless. Important, because it'll help your team decide where to put this in your queue. Because and everyone can't be number one. No matter what they think, everyone can't be number one. Excuse me. This is a more fleshed out version, essentially, of this. But, you can see that if I gave this to you in a sheet, you could easily check out what you want. And if you had questions, you would always come back to my team and say, hey, I have a question on this. Are these the only metrics we can get? No. I want this metric. Oh, we can do that. things like that. It helps facilitate communication between the client, your client team, whether that if you're working at an agency, your external client, or if you're working in-house, your internal client. It's still the same thing. You gotta facilitate that communication. Second is data gathering. So this is one or more data sources, usually. There's web analytics data, there's database data, and there's third-party data. So these two, this is sort of related to potentially both of these. This could be demographics or anything, demographics, income, whether they have dogs or not. I mean, it could be any number of third-party things that are appended either to your web analytics data or to your database data. But you gotta funnel all these together using the request form into one central source so that you can start to manipulate. Your data, right? Because you can't build an effective dashboard having 3 systems in 3 different places, and then because a dashboard is going to be a sheet, one 8 by 11.5 piece of paper. You can't really have 3 different data sources without combining them at least once. It makes it very difficult. It makes it tedious. So part of the things to help combine disparate data sources. I know some of you are obviously more familiar with Excel than others maybe, but lookups, match keys, pivot tables, things like that. Effective use of those and effective knowledge of those. Big sum if or sum ifs statements could be really important. Could save you tons of effort, tons of time. It could go from, and it'll make your process a lot more efficient, because you can go from just copying and pasting data and then it'll all turn around into one efficient sheet in 5 minutes, done, or a 2-hour update process. So you could either save yourself an hour and 55 minutes of heartache and terror every Monday morning when you have to update the sheet. Or you can say, oh, okay, I'll update this in 10 minutes, and it's nice and easy because you spent time on it. You went through these steps and you spent good time on it the first time. So it's really up to you. But at this point, you've already compiled all your data and you're gonna start manipulating it. A couple things to remember, right, is it's gonna be updated. So use those formulas, use whatever methods you can, whether you're using Excel, Access, SQL, SAS, I mean, it doesn't matter, it's the same principle, right? You're gonna be updating it. How can I write the code or format the data in a way to make it the easiest way possible? Work smarter, not harder. Build the verification QA if possible. You always wanna know, are these numbers, do they look right? Are my sum formulas working? If I'm doing the lookup, is everything looking up correctly? If possible. Again, not every scenario, and not every step away are you gonna be able to build in verification, but maybe, some steps, the more verification you can build in, the more confidence you're gonna have every time you update that data, that it's gonna be correct. And again, that's gonna save you time and mental effort of, ooh, is this correct? You send this to your CMO, and you're thinking, ooh, I don't, you're confident, but you're still in doubt, because there's no verification, no QA process. So, you gotta build those things in. Obviously, you're gonna strive for final build quality, but you're not gonna be there. So, this guy tried really hard to build a Ferrari. I mean, you gotta give him credit. He tried really hard, but we're not quite there just yet. So it's okay if it's a mess. It really is. I mean, it is okay. I mean, there have been times I've built, I've done I've done a number of dashboards in my life, obviously, and I've had 10 tabs in the first draft because I have this data here, I had is there. I've come in, it's been 3 tabs. There were 7 extra tabs of data because it was a mess, or I didn't think about it the right way the first time, you know, all these sorts of things, but it's okay. That's why it's a rough draft. This isn't the final product you're gonna push to your higher ups, to your bosses, to your bosses' bosses. The next one, so team meeting. And like I like to say, there is no presentation complete without stock marketing photo. So this presentation is now complete. So team gathering around the table, everyone is now
all engaged.
All engaged, that's right. So this is your session with your internal team, whether you're on email marketing, affiliate marketing, analytics, SEO, SEM, whatever. Critique and QA your dashboard. Before you send it out, have your team look at it. That's why it's a team. You know, your team is going to have familiarity with what you do. Obviously, they're going to maybe in a lot of aspects know better how to present some of the data than you would initially. Once you get all your input, go ahead and start revising your dashboard, and then start updating a document that explains how to do it. So it's great that I say, hey Carlo, build me a dashboard on this. And he goes through all these steps, and it's perfect. I need it, right? And I keep working. Well, Carlo, since he's so awesome, gets another job. And I can't pay him enough to have him stay. I certainly hope Loyola can't. If they can, send my way. But you know, so he's leaving. Moving on. He doesn't want to commute out to Arlington Heights anymore. He wants to live the high life in the city. You know, pick up chicks, whatever he does. But so I'm done. I got this dashboard. I still need the dashboard. What am I going to do? Well, he needs to. I mean, ideally in a world, he'd have a document that his replacement or someone else on his team would just be able to say, here you go. Here's a document. Me as a CMO or as his boss would never miss a beat. I would never have a week lost with that dashboard because there's strong documentation to support how to update it. It's already built, so the real hard work has been done. But a year down the road, once I still need it, but he's gone, the knowledge can't leave with him. It has to stay internal, and it has to be easy to read, easy for someone else in the department to get, so that they can keep updating it, and me as the boss, 1, 2, 3 levels up, never misses a beat. Never misses a beat. So really important. Documentation is a huge important feature that a lot of companies, both big and small, miss a lot with a lot of aspects, but definitely when it comes to building reports and building dashboards. So you have your first build. You've gone through QA, with your team. You've gone through rough draft with cardboard on a Saturn. But now you got your first build. It's pretty. It's pretty. But now you're going to send it to your stakeholders. So Carla's going to give me and say, "Hey, Jonathan, I've got this dashboard for you. This is what you wanted. This is what we agreed upon." Gets all this stuff. I'm like, okay. I look at it and say, great. Let's just say I think Carlo's the best. He's done perfect the first time. Great. But I give him feedback, okay? Or, it's not going to be a mess, but I might say, well, I'd rather have this aligned with this or these shaded.